This is Mehreen Mannan and you're watching Suno English. One side says there is no plan for talks. The other side is quietly extending deadlines, moving planes and keeping the door open. So what is actually happening here? Reports indicate that an Iranian delegation is expected in Pakistan. Not confirmed officially, but as per Reuters, Tehran is positively reviewing its participation. That phrase matters. It means the option is alive. It means the decision is being weighed, not rejected. At the same time, 2 US C-17 cargo planes have reportedly landed at a Pakistani airbase. Not symbolism, logistics, security preparation. You do not move that kind of equipment unless you expect movement on the diplomatic front. Then there is timing. Donald Trump has extended the truce window by another 24 hours. That is not the behavior of someone preparing for escalation. That is the behavior of someone buying space for talks. And here is another signal people are missing. Oil prices are drifting lower. Markets are not emotional, they are predictive. They are pricing in the possibility that negotiations are still on the table. So despite the noise, the machinery of diplomacy is still moving. Now step back and ask the harder question. Why would Iran come back at all? Because the alternative is worse. A prolonged war benefits very few and risks everything. It creates instability that no serious state can fully control. For Iran, there is also a domestic dimension. It cannot afford to look weak, especially when negotiations are being publicly shaped through statements and pressure tactics that may not sit well with its own population. So it does what experienced negotiators do. It postures, it delays, it signals resistance, not to walk away, but to walk in stronger. Even the language coming out of Tehran reflects this balance. They are demanding the release of the seized vessel and its crew. That is a hard position, yes, but it is also part of negotiation. You raise stakes before you sit down. There is one more strategic reason which leads me to believe that Iran will join round 2 of talks. Iran has carefully built what can be described as an ethical escalation ladder. It has responded, but in a controlled way. Enough to show strength, not enough to trigger total war. That creates diplomatic goodwill. It positions Iran as measured rather than reckless. And that goodwill will come with a cost. Because once you establish yourself as the restrained actor, you cannot suddenly walk away from the negotiating table. If Iran leaves the United States waiting alone, it risks losing that credibility. It risks international diplomatic pressure. It risks shifting perception from disciplined to obstructionist. So despite the rhetoric, it is almost compelled to engage. The United States has its own pressures. It expected a quicker outcome, somewhat like Venezuela. That did not happen. Now the objective shifts. What could not be secured on the battlefield is now being pursued at the negotiating table. A better deal than JCPOA at least, because Trump has repeatedly trashed it and withdrew from it in 2018. And politically, a prolonged conflict carries costs: economic, electoral, reputational. Now layer in another signal. JD Vance is set to head to Pakistan. You do not send your vice president into a vacuum. You send him when there is something to negotiate. Put all of this together and the pattern becomes clear. Publicly, Iran is cautious. Privately, it is engaged. The United States is applying pressure, but also extending time. Preparations in Pakistan are accelerating, not slowing down. This is not collapse. This is negotiation under pressure. Messy, contradictory, full of signals that seem to cancel each other out. But they do not. That is where things stand for now. Thank you for tuning in to Suno News.